And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it.
And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. Ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. Ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it.
And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it.
And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. Talking Mazda for the mothers. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the mothers. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it. Talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it.
for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it.
And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it. And it's a ticket.
Well, all right. What's going on, people?
What's going on, B? What's good?
Oh my goodness, I'm playing around with my camera view just to see which ones I like. Got to figure out. Oh, okay, there we go. I think that's better. Welcome everybody to another episode of Head to Head with Brian Parker. I am he, and we are live. Yes. So if this is first time tuning in, Head to Head has been going on strong since last August when we launched the Empower TV network, and we have had our show going on. This is the 40th edition, and we'll be hitting our 1-year anniversary for the Empower Network in about another 40 days. So a lot of good things going on, and I'm going to introduce my panel in just a second, but thank everybody out there that has tuned in, whether it's been on our YouTube channel at Empower TV Network or on the Roku channel. If you have Roku and you have not added us, what the hell is wrong with you? We are on Roku. Just go to search for channels and add Empower, and you'll be able to not only see Head to Head Sports, but you'll also be able to see plenty of other programming that we have on there, anything from comedy, web series, talk shows, and things like that too. Now we are streaming live, so people are able to now watch us in real time. So we're streaming on Facebook Live, we're streaming on YouTube, and LinkedIn as well. So you ain't got no excuse to not be able to find us. We everywhere now. So with that said, let me introduce my wonderful panel. They join me every week. So first and foremost, I have to say, welcome, Lori Parker. How you doing?
Doing great.
All right. I'm going around the horn. Mr. CJ Jones, how you do, sir?
In the house. Thank you for having me.
Yep, absolutely. Mr. Michael Berry, what's going on?
Not too much. How you doing? It's good to be live.
I can't call it. You know, Elsa didn't do much damage over here, so I feel okay. Got a little rain. I don't know how I feel about that because that just means that that's a day sooner than I'm gonna have to cut the grass. So other than that, I'm all right. All right. Wife ain't been getting on my nerves. You know, life okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Mr. Brad Carlton, how you doing, sir?
Sir, yes, sir. I'm good. I'm so glad that you sent out the new info earlier in the week. I'm a little older, so I don't do this technology. It takes me a while to get used to adjust. It takes me a while, so I appreciate you.
Brad, bro, you ain't the only one.
I'm glad you said something, CJ. You stay right there, CJ. Don't move. Move to your left just a little bit. Please block that star and please block that.
Oh no, sir. I can't help.
Oh man.
I can't help that. I can't help that. You know,
I got a story about that one in a second, but before I get to that, let's introduce the man who makes all this happen, who basically pays the bills because of all the viewership that he attracts, because of all the international women that tune in to Empower TV Network, Head to Head. Hell, they probably even want Head to Head Sports to come back. So without further ado, let's give it up for the franchise, Mr. Jermaine Parker. How you doing, sir?
Hey, man, I've embraced it. I've embraced it. I went in and put it in my tag. And since we live, man, I'm going to behave.
Well, Thank you for joining us as always. I'm sure we'll get our moment of blackness in as we continue to do this. But yeah, Brad. So we had a cookout at the Parker Manor the other day, and CJ and his lovely wife Catherine were able to join us. But there was only one problem, and I made CJ aware of it as he got out of his vehicle, that he had some crap on the front of his car. And he needed to remove it so that it would not damage his vehicle. And he proceeded to let me know that he is DC for L, and that star wasn't going nowhere.
Amen.
Now,
amen and amen.
Now, I just didn't want his car to get shot up.
And it won't. And we can engage in that. Anytime anybody feel like they're ready.
And speaking of DC for L and NFL period, as you saw in the lead up to the show, Head to Head Sports will be returning back in August. I haven't nailed in a date yet, but we're going to kind of do the same thing. We're going to do it live so that we can hopefully bring in some fans talking about their team, getting ready for the NFL. You know, when you 0-0, everybody got a chance to go to the Super Bowl except for the Cowboys. It's pretty much decided that by November they will have eliminated themselves somehow. But
we'll see.
I don't see that changing. But
no, I have to say Brian has been very good on his predictions. So
well, thank you, Lori. I did predict the Super Bowl and I did predict the winner. So
yes, you did.
We'll see how that goes going into season 2. But me, Randall, we're very excited to get going. We definitely want to talk about the NFL season because it's only going to be 3 preseason games this year and then 17 regular season games. So this will also be, the year where all fans will be able to go back to the stadium. So we're going to look at that. We'll look at how training camp is going to be impacted by that. So there's a lot of things to talk about with the NFL. We'll probably have to have 2 different shows, one for the NFC, one for the AFC, and then do our breakdown that way because it's just too many teams to try to cram into one show. So I think we can do it by conference instead of divisions because that would be a lot of different shows. So we're going to probably try to start out with 2 preseason shows, breaking down the conferences, and then go into the regular season, which starts weekend of September the 11th. So as you can tell, I'm very excited about the season. Hopefully my team will continue to make me happy about the season, well into the season. Anyway, that's enough about that. Again, guys, welcome. I didn't know how the live was going to go, but enjoying it already. If we get any comments from any of our viewers, they can always put their comments in and we will read them live on air and try to respond to them as much as possible. We want to make sure that we're engaging with our audience, so that makes the show go a lot better. So, what's going on in the world? I got our main topic, but just kind of covering some of the other bases. First and foremost, I want to put our thoughts and prayers out there for the families, for the folks from Surfside that now basically have found out that if they haven't been able to rescue any family members under the rubble, that it's pretty much now just a recovery effort where they're trying to just find as many bodies as they can to give the family some closure. Last update I heard, it was up to 60 that they have confirmed to have passed, and there's still quite a few that are missing. They did level the rest of the building the other day, so probably sooner than later, they'll start recovering even more bodies now that it's fully down and they're able to move around the site without having to worry about some structural integrity from the rest of the building. So we do send our thoughts and prayers out to them too. And then, of course, we got some crazy stuff going on in the world of politics. We know how all that is going on. We got some infrastructure packages that are being pushed through Congress right now. And in the spirit of bipartisanship, these crazy Democrats have decided to give in and try to pass one bill that's agreeable for Republicans, and then have a separate bill that's co-added alone, so that the progressives feel like that they're getting something that they want as well. I don't ever understand these people because they don't ever seem to have any sense of urgency. Number one, everything that they're talking about doing, a lot of this stuff ain't gonna pass till August and September, and you may not even start to see stuff go in the ground until the first of next year. But they keep talking about this stuff is for jobs and stuff like that, and I'm like, people need jobs right now. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. It just seems like it's always hurry up and wait with Congress. Like they talk about it, and then they finally get around to doing it, if they finally get around to doing it. But I just don't ever see any sense of urgency in them. What do y'all think?
I think Congress is actually built that way. It was actually built by the founders to not work fast, and the reason behind that is that they wanted deliberation. They wanted to make sure that the country was not outpacing the people, and that representatives were actually listening to the voice of the people. Now, you can argue that that's not what's happening, but the grind of Congress and the way it's designed with with its three parts, it's designed that way, and so it's working the way it's supposed to work. It's just frustrating when people need immediate action. But that's what local government's for. Local government's is your fast response team that's supposed to come in there and do things. Of course, with our hyper political atmosphere, it makes it hard to do anything in the best of situations, and we're obviously just not in the best of situations.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
man, you hit the nail on the head. Honestly, it is the hurry up and wait.
Hopefully they get to it. Hopefully they get to it. Something that is moving on pretty fast is don't know if anybody's heard about the Southern District of New York and Manhattan District Attorney's Office, but Trump's CFO Alan Weisselberg has been indicted along with the Trump Organization for a whole lot of charges. Now, listen. This has got to be the funniest thing because you can tell rich folks don't really get it, because the defense from Eric Trump, Donald Trump Jr., and even Donald J. Trump himself is that's it.
Yeah. It's like it's like watching deer and getting caught in headlights. Like this is really happening.
But I mean, they act like that's not a big deal because Eric's like, man, it's just $3 million.
Well, I mean,
when people got money. Or Donald Trump plays it down and says it's just for a rental. It's just for not a rental car. It's just for a company car and a company apartment and yeah, it's funny because Trump goes, well, I mean, does anybody know if you're able to do that? And I'm sitting there going, well, wasn't you the jackass that said that you was the expert on taxes and stuff? You know taxes better than everybody.
Oh yeah.
So see, that's why your words can come back to haunt you, because they may be able to pull that in court and go, well, wait a minute, you can't claim ignorance because you said you was an authority. You really can't claim ignorance because it's your CFO. If your CFO don't know what's taxable, that could be a problem. And most people with the high school education understand that anything that your company provides to you, whether it's money or whether it's in the form of things, could be considered compensation, and any parts of compensation is going to be taxable. So, the whole I don't know, did you know? No, I ain't know, did you know? That ain't really gonna work.
I'm not impressed, Bri. I'm not impressed. I said it from the beginning. If you don't have the goods on this dude, don't even go after him.
I agree.
I don't want to hear this $3 million slap on the hand. The company gets. If he's not going to be put in bracelets, I don't even want to talk about the suit against him.
Well, Brad,
something that's tangible that's going to stick, and it's going to put him looking at a 3 to 5 or something.
Well, Brad, I think what it is that they have subpoenaed a whole lot of records. And I think they have some stuff, but what they're trying to do is get Weisselberg to turn into their tour guide to guide them through it.
Absolutely.
What they're hoping is that he's so damn old that the threat of going to the pokey and getting poked isn't going to sound good to him, and that he'll say, okay, I'm going to walk you through this paperwork.
Right.
So they feeling like if we press him with these charges that are legit,
With
even
some
though a lot
football
of times
numbers.
people don't really pay attention to
With
it.
some football numbers for him, right?
Right,
Gotta
right.
be enough to shake him, just like
Right.
it was for his attorney. You know what I
Because
mean?
you're right. If this is all that they got, yeah,
Right.
that's pretty lame.
Right.
That's why I'm under the assumption of believing that they really have more, but they're looking for some way to put enough pressure on Weisselberg to make him say, okay, I know you got these documents. I'm going to walk you through it first in front of a grand jury. Then we're going to go ahead and give him immunity from all of this because it's small enough for them to say, you know what? We're going to put that to the side because we got a bigger fish that we're going after.
Show us the bodies.
Yeah, kind of the same thing that's going on with Matt Gaetz right now down in Florida.
Right.
His former wingman, they're trying to put more pressure, and he's apparently cooperating so that they're not going after him. I mean, he's going to take some time, but he ain't going to take as much because he's going to give up Matt Gaetz. And that's really what they want. So a lot of times they use that to say, hey, these charges, while bad, are not the biggest thing that we really want to go after, but we focused on it right now because we want you to realize that, hey, this man is not president anymore. Number one, he can't pardon you. Number two, these charges are state charges, and even if he was president, he couldn't pardon you from those either.
Right.
So I don't know. Y'all think that they are really going to be successful though in getting Weisselberg to flip, or the indictment said that there were other executives, and the thing that we all know about Trump org is that most of the executives at the company have the last name Trump. So I don't know if they don't get Weisselberg to flip, is it even a possibility that they'll be able to get somebody else? Because from what's been reported, Ivanka was receiving the same kind of benefits as Weisselberg.
Well,
I'll be honest with you.
Like they say, crap rolls downhill, and you kind of, I guess, in a state of neutrality until the crap starts to really fall on you. So right now, the ants aren't really moving; they're not bothered. So the idea, or I would imagine that if I was one of his cronies, I would be hoping that Big Brother above me would be catching the heat before it falls on me. So I don't want to give my position away too soon and then just all of a sudden volunteer myself, and then I've allowed that crap to fall on me. That's how I'm looking at it. I would suggest that anybody that has half a brain will be thinking like that. But I mean, we are talking about Trump's followers, so it ain't no telling what this drama going to really end up being.
Well, I'm hoping this is more of the beginning than the end. Because if it's closer to the end, like Brad said, not impressed.
Yeah, don't they have a lot of information from the wife when she gave in all of those records? And also, I think this is also trying to ensnare the children to be caught up in this and to be also face some potential jail time for those perks. The car rental, the housing as well.
Well, I think it's really going to be a test to really see if Weisselberg is going to be more loyal to protecting himself and his family, or if he's really that loyal to Donald Trump.
And that's what it really boils down to. Really.
I'm actually kind of interested to see that. I really want to see, because I remember Michael Cohen specifically saying one time that he would take a bullet for Donald Trump until Donald Trump dropped his ass. And he said, "No, I ain't taking no bullet for this man. I don't know why I ever followed this man." And he started singing a whole other tune. But I remember for a minute, Michael Cohen was like, I'll take a bullet for Mr. Trump. I'm looking at him
Yeah,
like,
okay. That's when he was in the position to actually try to protect somebody.
yeah,
But like you say,
but
now that he's no
but
longer
they
president,
they say all of that. They say all of that,
yeah,
and you don't really know how far they're gonna go with it. Like Congress right now, you got a lot of them in Congress, like Gates and Jim Jordan and Gozar and Biggs and Taylor Green and all of them that basically say the same thing is that we'll take a bullet for them, but they ain't excuse me, they ain't really been tested with somebody having a gun
not really.
pointed at them.
Yeah.
So
So
I
I mean,
am a little curious to see that.
So yeah, they all talk a good game, but when it
Exactly.
comes down to it, self-preservation will take precedence. I'm about willing to put money on that, and I'm not even a betting man.
So
But
then you're under the belief then that at some point, once Weisselberg realizes that the game is up, he's gonna flip.
yeah, but they definitely got to bring the pressure and show some real issue, something that's going to make him say, okay, he ain't worth that.
Right.
They also could be doing at the same time, not showing their entire hand. And
yeah, of course, always.
They just want to throw this out as a feeder or a feeler that, hey, yeah, we're gonna, charge with $3 million in tax evasion or whatever. But what they're really holding, and this is my opinion, I feel that the Southern District of New York has the whammy in the background, and that's what they are talking to Weisselberg about. And they're just throwing this out to him right now and doing the feeder so that they are inspiring Donald Trump to tweet and do the dumbness that he does always, and that he will slip up.
Right. And he will expose himself. He will fall on his own sword. That's one thing that people, they can't help it. He's a narcissist.
Well,
You're
right, CJ, and he kind of already has in some ways because he went out on his rallies, which we'll talk about. He's kind of already started his revenge tour, and like I said, he's not even trying to say it didn't happen. He's just trying to downplay it. But in downplaying it, you're basically admitting that it's true.
Admitting it. Exactly.
Like dummy.
Here's my thing. I don't see the point. I don't see the point. And this is, and what I mean by I don't see the point, because this is not coming from like a Candace Owens standpoint. This is, I don't see the point in all these resources and stuff just for tax evasion. He's not Capone. You mentioned Matt Gaetz earlier. Absolutely. That's where, if there's any focus to be had, put some focus on a criminal. If you're talking about, so I believe that if there's some tax evasion stuff, should it be prosecuted? Yeah, but I think a lot of people are coming from this like, oh, we're going to get Trump like in some kind of, it's just strictly from the point of we don't like him and we want to stop him from being able to get back in the White House and that and stuff. Then I think it's a waste of taxpayer dollars for revenge, especially politically driven revenge. If you don't want him in the White House, the Democrats, like we're talking about with this Congress, the infrastructure bill, and doing stuff like that with their narrow majority, they need to be working their asses off to get their stuff passed and stop trying to negotiate with Republicans who are just trying to run the clock out on them. But as far as like trying to get get him flipped and stuff so he can turn up the chain and get the kids, and now we got the kids and stuff like that. They're not a crime family. They are a crime family, but they've been a crime family for a very long time. Like, why now? Like, why are you guys interested now? Oh, because he was the president and stuff? Like, that's kind of that's to me. That's child.
And you're right, Jermaine. That does prove that the reason that they don't see anything wrong with it is because they've been doing it. And now the only reason that you have a problem with it is because you don't like the fact that Trump went to the White House and did all this crazy stuff.
Yeah.
So now it's almost like, well, we couldn't
crimes.
No, I'm saying
actually committed crimes in plain sight for decades. And you go talk to New Yorkers, and New Yorkers will tell you what this dude stiffs people. He won't pay his bills. You know what I mean? Like it's obvious he has a fascination with the mob and goons and stuff. I mean, who has a fascination with that kind of stuff?
Who would be surprised that he inflates his assets? This man tells you he's worth billions of dollars. He always talks about everything in the most grandiose.
Yeah,
right.
He's a constant liar. He lies about everything. Of course he lied about his taxes. He lies about everything. This is a dude that slept with a porn star while his wife was pregnant and stuff. Of course he's not moral. The moral fiber's not there, right? And so,
well, I mean, I don't think that's necessarily bad. The worst thing anybody could do. But go ahead.
Well, I mean, for a little bit.
She was cute.
But the thing is, like I said, I just and I get it, and I get the fever behind it because there are a lot of people who passionately hate the dude. I think but to me, he's the same dude he was before the election, before he became president. And and I was actually that was actually the one reason I was surprised that he went through with his campaign was because when you're a criminal, you're supposed to like be in the back room somewhere doing your stuff, not out front advertising. I mean, really, seriously.
Absolutely.
That's what they tell. That's what they tell black dudes in the hood. Like, stop putting rims on the car. The police know you're drug dealing. Nah, man, they knew we was drug dealing before. But
you parked in a government subsidized house and then talking about who snitched on me, bruh.
Really? Again, do I think that the organization, just like any organization, should pay his taxes and stuff? Absolutely. Go out to Amazon. They move. He's just not that smart. His people aren't that smart. Sure, he should pay and stuff, but I think the fever behind it, the emotion behind it, is what kind of turns me off to it. Because it's like, yeah, sure. If he did something, then he should be held accountable for it, like everybody else is held accountable for it. But the motivation behind it, the motivation is simply we're going to get them because we don't like them. And I'm like, yeah, I don't vibe with that.
Right.
Yeah, no, I feel you on that. And Jermaine, I kind of equated, follow me on this, to the whole thing with Derek Chauvin, because so many people wanted to find him guilty because of so many times where police have gotten away with murder.
Literally.
That once he was found guilty, folks are crying, they're jubilant, even though that they know that it doesn't fix the system. At least for once, you SOBs got what was coming to you. And I take that same mindset to a lot of people with Trump. They've watched this man for 40 years somehow get out. I mean, his name should be Houdini. He gets out of every damn thing. And just once, can we nail this SOB to the damn wall?
It is exactly what you said it is. It's the same thing. There are two systems, one a criminal justice system and then a financial system, both set up by the American government, that allows people like Trump and Derek Chauvin to exist. And so I see where people are saying, well, we're going to make it. Those are just sacrificial things. Chauvin's in jail, and there are still police officers out there killing black people. Congratulations. Right. He's in jail.
Man, don't make me say Rock Hill.
It didn't even stop during the trial. It happened again and again.
If Trump it happened like the very next day, didn't it? It was the very next day. The
systems, when we're taking a swing at the base of the systems that create and allow for these people to exist, that's something I think the energy should be in, not the individual. Trump actually, and hear me out, hasn't done anything that the federal government didn't want him to do. Businessmen have been doing the same thing over and over and over and over again and stuff. And so, I mean, he's not that brilliant to be making this shit up. He saw somebody else do it. His CFO saw somebody else do it. They hired the stuff. Right. That's why Skid's like, we've been doing it for so long. Why is it wrong? We get wide.
That's why so many people looked at him. Yeah, that's why so many people looked
Yeah,
at
but
him
so
as making a mockery of the presidency, because he came in, he didn't hide what his intentions were. He really did to come in to show how much of a joke it really was for someone like himself, someone that has the wealth, someone that has the power and everything, to be like, okay, look, this is just this is nothing.
Per
And
usual.
and everything else is just everything, or every other president in his mind is just playing to the masses. It's a dog and pony show. But
well,
if you're
I can,
like
I can do
me,
a, I can
like
do a
him
whole
with
show. I
money,
can do a whole
power,
show
and position,
on what
it
power
doesn't
means.
it doesn't mean nothing.
Well, and
Yeah.
again, so my point to all this, and I know you got to move on to another topic, so I'll be quick. My point to this is that there's a lot of fever and stuff in an individual, but if I shot you with a gun and you went to the hospital and all they did was stitch the wound and they didn't even look for me, the guy that shot you and stuff, I don't think you should be clapping like, yeah, they stitched the wound. No, there's still a bullet inside you. There's still somebody out there with the gun. Who gave me the gun? There's a lot of other stuff going on, and I just feel like this is just kind of like, if we, we're just like stitching wounds and stuff. We're not fixing it. We're not really addressing the issue that made the wound possible. And so when we're talking about Trump and stuff like that, I'm just like, yeah, okay, sure, he goes to jail, and then what? Some other guy comes in and buys an election.
You're right.
I mean,
Right.
he's a symptom of a problem, and we're talking about the symptoms, and we're not talking about the problem. And that's where I'm just not bought into the. I mean, I don't care, because if he goes to jail, how does that change your life? How
Exactly.
any of our lives made better?
It doesn't. It just makes people feel better.
That's all it is. It's just but we've ushered in that type of society now, guys. It is about, I want to feel good. Do this because I want to feel good. Even with this so-called cancel culture thing, all of that is feelings. Now we're taking that and we're merging it over into, I mean, think about it. Everything. Think about how people are feeling about Bill Cosby and his release. Think about I mean, you can put it on anything now. Somebody somewhere is going to feel butthurt about something, and they just want to feel better.
Why gotta be butthurt?
It's not going to. It's like how Jermaine is saying.
You got some Brokeback Mountain going on with you.
Huh?
You got some Brokeback Mountain going on with you talking about butthurt. Where you been? You been in the boat lately? You been to jail lately?
They weren't both Cowboys. Is all one.
You want to talk about some butthurt? Oh, you're a Cowboys fan. You know about butthurt. Never mind. Okay, you got it.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. All right.
Brad. Am I Brad? Mike. Am I off basis with what I'm saying? What do y'all say?
You're very low, Jay.
Yeah, you're very low.
Very low. I can't hear you.
But I will say
I
this.
can hear you, but it's not coming through your mic.
It doesn't really matter.
Okay.
Well, what I'm saying is that am I off base by saying that I want more than just the superficial going after Trump? I want the institution tore down and remade.
Not at all.
No, you're not off base.
Trump is just a symptom of everything else going on. And at this point, it's July already. We should be done talking about Trump. I mean,
yeah.
What does it matter now? He can go to jail. He cannot go to jail. He probably not going to go to jail either way.
Yeah, I agree. I think if he even got a suspicion that he might possibly go to jail, he just gonna run to Russia. So who knows? Yeah. Who ain't sending nobody back?
I got to be honest and speak for me. Yeah, I want him in jail. I absolutely want him in jail. I think he's splintered the country so much that I think we need to send a message that, you know what, this ain't cool. And the things that you did were illegal. We knew they were illegal. We didn't have the goods. We couldn't prosecute you on the things we what do we call it? That we impeached him for. They didn't prosecute him for the things they impeached. No, he's done some dirty, and I think the American spirit, the American story says, you know what, he deserves some comeuppance. He deserves it. He deserves the handcuffs. He deserves the perp walk. He deserves all of that.
And that's just
So, Brad, are you
family. I don't know
asking
if I
for
care
him
about
to
his
be
family.
in state
Prison.
or club? Because club fed, he'd
No,
be
I
comfortable.
want him in. I don't care. You know what? To be honest, I don't care. Restrict his movement. You know what I mean? I think he deserves to be in jail. All the things that we did, and he was Teflon, we couldn't touch him. No, he needs to go to jail. And I don't want to see him. At the end of the day, I don't care if it's on tax evasion. I need to see him in jail, period. But don't come at with the expression, if you come for the king, you best not miss. Don't miss. Don't miss. Get his ass.
Right.
Excuse my language. Get him.
Yeah.
I don't care what it's on. Get him.
Brad, that's the paradigm that we're in, is that a lot of people feel like you do, because because for one, a lot of us go and say, you know what? If I got more than an ounce of weed on me or an ounce of coke or something else, my future is over. If I'm a 3-time felon, that's life.
But to my point, that's the system.
I know that's where I'm going to, Jermaine. So Jermaine's right. Jermaine's point is, look, y'all know damn well for 40 years that Trump been sticky at best. You know that stuff ain't been on the up and up for a very, very long time. And you trained yourself to look the other way until you couldn't anymore, until Trump just did so much ignorant stuff that people said, you know what, we need to nail this mother effort to the wall. I get it. So the feeling is, you know what? He needs to finally be held accountable for what he's done, because for so long, he has not been held accountable. That is a very, very popular idea. What Jermaine is saying is, yeah, but you know what? It don't need to stop with Trump. Y'all need to go everywhere on Fifth Avenue and start nailing a whole bunch of them SOBs to the wall. Y'all need to start going to all these Fortune 500 companies. Why are these dudes getting $26 million parachutes when they leave companies? And, why are their employees sitting here? We're criticizing their employees for wanting to take $300 extra in unemployment wages. And you some bitches get parachutes and don't nobody say nothing. You get handouts from the government, you get taxes, their effective tax rate can be 0. Yeah, I got to pay 26%. What the hell is that about?
Right.
Yeah.
And then when we sit there and say, well, we want to build roads and bridges and infrastructure and broadband, and we think that, hey, y'all been thriving for quite some time. We're going to take your tax rate up from 22% to 28%. Now they start hiring lobbyists to sit there and convince the senators and Congress people, no, leave stuff the way that it is. As a matter of fact, not to totally change the subject, but did you even hear the leaked audio the other day from the lobbyist for Exxon that was naming names, talking about how he goes into Joe Manchin, Capito, Coons' office and start, getting them to not pass things that are going to regulate the oil and gas industry. He was naming it. So what Jermaine is basically saying is that we got a bigger problem. I'm sorry.
I heard yesterday of the congressman saying our goal is to delay until December of 2020.
Chip Roy.
That's right.
Chip Roy in Texas, yeah.
I didn't hear the excellent.
Oh, man, I'll send it after the show, but it was so crazy because what happened was this group interviewed this lobbyist for Exxon, making him think that he was having a job interview. So they were asking him about certain things. And he just laid it all out on the table like a 5-course meal. He laid it all out there. He started naming people in Congress that they work with, how they try to act like they're all for clean energy and stuff like that, but they're really not. They know that carbon taxes ain't really going to pass, but it's a nice thing to say to kind of make people feel good. And it was hilarious. I was like, wow, when you don't think nobody listening, the truth will come out. And that's kind of the thing.
Truth right there has been on the table for a long time, right? I mean,
yes,
we know that. We
know
know
it.
Like Joe Manchin. you didn't have to name Joe Manchin for us to go, that dude moves funny. You know who in the crew. You know what I mean? You know who in the crew ain't down.
You know it, but what you've been noticing lately, Jermaine, is people are saying the quiet part out loud. Like
Right.
you knew when people were racist, but you ain't know that they ain't just always gonna flat out say the N-word and stuff like that. Now you got a dude on that went viral calling people monkeys and N-words and talk, and then go tell everybody his address and say, "Come for me," and get mad when 100 folks show up outside his house.
Remember, Marvel fans, you remember Iron Man 2 when Iron Man called out the Mandarin and stuff, and the Mandarin came and blew up his house.
Blew up his
that
house.
Was exactly like that.
Yeah, that's exactly what that was.
I thought about that too. That's so funny.
Said, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's just like that dumb police officer that stood up there and was like, anybody that think they want to come up, roll up, and then when you got actual fighters that was like, bro, I'll take you up on your challenge. Now you doing a cry video to Muslim. Man, I don't even know y'all, man. Yeah, it's all the same thing.
Yeah.
It's all fun and games, and it ain't no fun until the rabbit got the gun.
Rabbit got the gun. I was about to say that.
It ain't no fun until the rabbit got the gun.
I tell people all the time, I say, you can talk the internet stuff, but like, I'm 6'4" in real life. Like, forget the keyboard and stuff.
Yeah. Bam.
You can slap if you want to.
I have a question though. Question.
Yes, ma'am.
So after this lobbyist was highlighted, but the fact of the matter is, now that they've known that we've always known what they're going to do, or this is to make us the niceties, but what are they going to actually do with the information? Does that mean are your constituents now see it and mean like, oh, so every time you talk to me and you're going to get reelected, I already know that you just blowing some smoke?
Well, to answer your question in a short way, here it is. Politicians are corrupt. Next on the news, water is wet.
Yes.
Air is sometimes dry.
So, Lori, unfortunately, people that already, like Jermaine said, we kind of already knew that. The people that already knew that and it pisses them off, they just pissed them off even more. And the people that could give two craps about it still don't care.
But on a local level, you should be able to then, if you're working, I said, to make effective change, you can then elect your individuals to do that. And then that means that the people, if I'll use Joe Manchin as an example, Joe Manchin, I understand that he's the only pseudo Democrat that's there, and it will be a Republican seat. But all of the people in West Virginia, they need to start getting in an uproar on their conditions and what their senator is actually lobbying for them. And it just seems like they just feel like, oh.
Well, Lori, he kind of is lobbying for them, because you got to remember, West Virginia has a whole lot of coal. If you close down coal, you cut away jobs. That's how they explain stuff to people. You got to realize, Lori, a lot of voters are single issue voters, meaning that there's only one or two things that they really care about. Mm-hmm. And if you start threatening, oh, we're going to take away your coal jobs, well, that's enough for me to come out and vote against that person that's trying to do that. And now when you start talking about New York, where that's not an issue, so they don't focus on coal like that in New York. They may focus on green. They may focus on police reform, things like that to attract voters. So what upsets voters in West Virginia aren't going to piss off voters in San Francisco. It's not going to happen that way.
That I understand. I got that.
Yeah.
I get that.
So they understand that lobbyists are going to come for Joe Manchin and Shelley Moore Capito, because West Virginia is one of those states where that's their lifeblood, and trying to talk them into green energy and retraining coal miners to work on windmills and solar and things like that. That sounds like just a bunch of policies from AOC and the squad. We need to push them back and bring back in
Lori, you are absolutely right. It should be something that on a local level is brought to everybody's attention, right? But so it's something CJ said earlier, because I'm going to wrap this in a bow. So CJ said earlier and stuff, a lot of this stuff is emotional, right? And so
Yes.
a lot of politics are based on like a single issue or maybe two issues and stuff. And right now in our political structure and stuff, it's all about fear. It's not about inspiration. There are very few people who inspire people, and that's where the Democrats fall very short and stuff, because they don't have a charismatic, inspirational leader within the party who can unite them and help people talk about their best side and stuff. What we talk about in politics now are the things that divide us, not the things that unite us and stuff. Part of the reason that on previous shows, if you hadn't seen the other shows, I always advocate for in local politics, especially for Black people, and not just for Black people. Shit, excuse me, just for anybody who doesn't feel like their voice is being heard. That's why we need our own political party. So we're not asking people who don't know our issues or who don't care about our issues. Maybe our single voter issue is, police reform and stuff. But we don't have anybody that cares about that, or it's hard trying to convince somebody to say, hey, you should lobby. We're lobbying for them to care. Joe Manchin's doing exactly what Joe Manchin we thought he was doing before this. No one was confused by this, and there's no consequence to it because, as I said before, this is the systems that were put in place. It was put in place. There's a reason. If Congress wanted to stop lobbying, they could just make a law. They don't want to stop. The federal government doesn't want it to stop because they enjoy the perks of it. The same reason that your ounce of weed will send you to jail, because we understand who has an ounce of weed and who that's going to send to jail, and why we're over policing certain areas and stuff, even though it's been shown over and over again that the drug use between Black and white people is at the same rate. But when we get caught with this stuff, we get 20% more to our sentence than a white person. These are just,
the price tag doubles because they know that it's even harder for people of color. Most of us can't afford these high-priced lawyers and different things like that, and so it's much easier.
When the issue isn't in the community and stuff, there can be change and stuff. Look at the war on crack, and then the sympathy of opioids. When it was located primarily, it's still drugs, right? But not
It's still all drugs.
Because crack was leading to violence and stuff like that. Not that opioids,
Yeah.
I'm like Dave Chappelle.
Right.
It's just
For real.
whatever. Yeah, because it must be hard to have an epidemic at your community and stuff.
And Jermaine, let me put this little stream in, because this is going to be a subject I've been keeping this in the pocket for the last couple of weeks, but next week I do want to go ahead and dive more into CRT because it's getting worse and worse and worse. Yes. Okay. So because the more and more we talk about certain things, and we talk about there being two systems and things like that, that's what CRT is about. That's what it's trying to shed a light on, is that there are things inherently built into some of these systems that teeter with systemic racism, where an ounce of crack can get you an X amount of time, but then you got these folks on Wall Street sitting there talking about company cars and corporate houses that aren't part of your salary. Well, that shouldn't send me to jail, but me having a rock or a brick on me should. And because you're profiling, well, who's getting the company cars? Who's on Fifth Avenue? What do they look like? And who's walking around with bricks and rocks and stuff like that? And what do they look like? And then it's acting like CRT doesn't exist.
I'll tell you, viewers, bring a notepad next week, because I'm gonna list off all kind of crap, and I'm even going to explain to you why lakes are racist.
Well, and you know what? And because I know that that's going to touch a lot of third rails, that show it can go.
Third rail was invented by a Black man. I'm just saying. Most don't know that. I'm just saying.
Look. It's something that we're gonna need to talk about, because there's just so many people that are linking. What made me think about it even more is because Jermaine brought up the whole thing about fear. And all of the discussion right now about critical race theory is about fear. Is making somebody
Let me know what it
and then
is.
I watched a CNN interview where they were hitting people on the streets and stuff, asking them about how to define it, what they think they define it. And most of the people that were against it couldn't even define it, couldn't tell you anything about it other than it's like a boogeyman. I ain't never really seen the boogeyman, but he might be around the next corner. And that's enough to make me fear him.
That's the
I ain't
whole
never seen him.
That's the whole entire. That is the whole entire platform of people that are against CRT, and they even got some tokens out there that's trying to support this fear mongering, because that's exactly what it is.
Sorry.
Nothing substantial at all. They're trying their hardest to just go by what they know or what they knew that would work. Nobody's really gonna really fact check them or any of those things. And every time you bring education to the table, they play the deaf, dumb, and blind. So yeah, I'm ready for all of that. And
all right,
I can't wait. I can't wait to break it down.
I'm glad I got your appetite whet. Going on the last subject for tonight, I saw in online where there were two African runners that have been disqualified from the 400 meters because their tests revealed naturally high testosterone levels. As we know, testosterone is not something that females naturally have. And their level was very, very high, which normally suggests that it's either artificial or you a man. And we know that there's been some, and I don't know which one it is, honestly. Because I mean, hell, I can't look at a regular woman anymore and tell her she is really a man. But
I was trying not to go there.
I rub Lori's neck every day. I check her neck every day. But
bro, you might want to get that one up. It's a little late on that.
Only thing that convinces me that she don't have no big ass hands. But
leave my
cut him, Lori. Just cut him.
Alone.
Just cut him.
Leave him alone.
Cut him. He's only gonna learn if you cut him.
If I can just slap you through this TV.
Listen, Lori, just let me know. I'm just down the street. Let me know what you need.
Thank you. But I got it. Remember,
she got it.
I got it.
Looking the other way.
My door's locked.
I'm gonna see him.
My door is locked. But no, seriously. But I don't know if they're men or women. But that conversation is going to keep happening because we already know there's a lot of state governments out there already trying to prevent transsexual athletes from being able to compete in events based on their gender identity. So maybe they were born male, now they identify as female, they are living as a female, and they don't want them to run track, for instance, because they feel like their original genetics are going to give them an advantage when, as far as competing against natural born females, as an example.
And all of that is argumentative too, because I'm thinking, right, I used to run track and field. That was my thing. Hell, we had females that can outrun guys. So, and like, all over the place, high jumps and everything. So this whole testosterone thing and stuff, man, it's just, to me, it's just another obstacle that the powers that be that are putting out there to just keep us from just truly shining and representing and things that we excel in. And it may rattle somebody's cages or not, but I hate to just be blunt with it, but most of us, people of color, just are naturally more advanced than someone that is not when it comes to sports and
that's
different
black
things.
supremacy.
Say what?
I said it's black supremacy.
But it's just,
We're not
I
gonna have
mean,
that on the show.
yeah.
There's
But
another
the thing
show.
about it is that, but the thing about it is, some things are just they just are, and they're just afraid again of just something that they started or thought that they was going to take credit for, and all of a sudden people of color have came in and was like, boom, we can do this, so I guess it's just too much blackness for them, really.
Did you know that black people's skin is actually thicker than white people's skin? And it's not.
Okay.
It's a lie.
I'm sitting there going,
No.
the hell you been reading?
Well, you know what? Funny enough, there was a survey done, and average white American, I think it was like 40%, actually thought that was true. And the disturbing part was that medical doctors were like 20 something, like 28, high 20% thinking that was true. This is in the last decade.
That's because they watch Netflix.
This is part of CRT.
Yes.
All of it.
That's what I'm saying.
There have been some lies. That's why, and then black people have higher tolerance for pain and stuff. That's why it's okay to do chokeholds. That's why it's okay that black women aren't seen or their concerns aren't addressed when they go to the hospital and stuff, because they have a high tolerance of pain and stuff, or we be putting on whatever the missed thing is. I bring this back to the high testosterone thing. These could be naturally occurring things in people and stuff. And so when we look at this stuff, it's targeted stuff, right? It's and so when people go, well, if they did, they did. What are we supposed to do about that? Well, we make the rules. Like, when Joe Biden was asked about the young lady not being able to participate in the Olympic stuff, he said, the rules are the rules. And then they cut that part, because the next thing he said was, we might want to look at the rules. We might want to look at the rules and say, where did we get that rule from? Not just the weed thing, but where do we get the testosterone thing from? What's that based in? Is that real medical stuff? Or is that just us being subjective and taking a little bit of information and transposing that in a way that we want to transpose that to make it look like, well, we're just trying to protect the purity of the gains? Why? Because they have some naturally occurring testosterone.
Well, what they're saying is that what they're hiding behind, let me say it that way, is the notion of competitive disadvantage. What's the difference between that and somebody having a performance enhancing drug inside of them that gives them a competitive advantage, either to heal faster, to build more mass, to be able to run faster, whatever those kind of things. If you have an elevated level of testosterone and somebody else doesn't, is that giving you a competitive advantage?
It should. That's life, and that's the thing, it should, because that's like saying, it's 6'8", you can't play. If you're over 6'8", no more NBA basketball for y'all, because you have a competitive advantage. If you happen to be 300 pounds and you can run like a 4.6 40 and stuff, that's a competitive advantage. We can't have that and stuff. We just want everybody. So, and one of the most European Anglo-Saxon sports out there is NASCAR. You know what NASCAR is built on? NASCAR is actually built on your race car can't be faster than my race car, because of competitive advantage. Like, you can't come up with technology and stuff. And so I understand where it comes from. The whole, well, it should be fair. No, it really shouldn't be. If you're the fastest, you're the fastest. If I can, if I'm a boxer and I can just whoop everybody's ass, that's just what it is. If you want, it's like, let's say that you were like a Cowboys fan and stuff. If you wanted a competitive advantage,
that's definitely a competitive disadvantage.
Yeah,
but
you change teams. So there's ways to get around this stuff. It's all choices.
I love it.
Keep it coming, y'all. Keep it coming. Keep it coming.
That whole rant was just a set of the Cowboys thing. I'm sorry.
You didn't even have to have a point. As long as you somehow figured into the Cowboys suck. Mission accomplished.
I'm like Dave Chappelle. I started with the punchline. I worked my way backwards.
You are not the master.
The Cowboys will win the NFC East.
So do you guys think that at some point, whether it's the Olympic folks, whether it's any other organizations out there, they're really going to have to take another look at, do the policies that we felt like made sense in the past, based on the way that gender identity has evolved over the last 5 years, that they're going to have to, now, like I even saw one of Lori's headers on LinkedIn, she, her, something. You did the she, her.
Those are the pronouns
The pronouns.
Yes, because as you're identify and just to know what you identify or are more comfortable with. So if you are someone who is transgender, or then you can have identifying pronouns. Right.
So, now that even things like that have changed, where, even 10 years ago, that's just unheard of. Are these regulating bodies in sports and companies going to have to relook at some of their current things on the books and say, you know what, this may have made sense 10 years ago, but now it is going to be a obstacle for people, and it's turning people away, because basically what it's doing is it's saying that we don't really have a place for you. You don't fit any of these current boxes that we have. We don't know how to place you, because you don't fit under anything that we currently have. Therefore, you can't compete, because we don't know what to call you.
If they want to try to still carry the torch, especially like when it comes to like these Olympic Games, and America is claiming to be, the forerunner of freedom and of open-mindedness and stuff like that, even though they personally may not ever want to support and everything, but just to keep the image up, to be, all supportive of all walks of life and so forth and everything, just to save face, they would have to change it, and they would have to accept it. I mean, because other than that, of course, yet again, America will be the laughingstock, or second, third, fourth runner up, and that's something that corporate America do not like.
It's going to cost them money until there is a backlash, or if, let's say, that due to all of their testing, and let's say they have now alienated a certain segment of athletes or anything, if these athletes then drum up enough support to have them, whether they do a boycott, a stoppage, or something like that, the only way that it will make them make a change or do anything is if it costs the money. So if it's going in terms of the Olympics, we already are now that the Tokyo Olympics, because of the Delta variant, they've closed it down to all spectators. So again, it's about money. And until it hits them in their pocket, then you'll see change.
And that's what it all boils down to. It all boils down to,
because it's about money, I don't know why Japan didn't holler and scream to postpone these games for a year. They're missing out. They're going to lose out on tons of money by not having the tourists, the fans, everything else. Why didn't they push for a postponement to next summer? It's okay.
I have no idea.
Right. It didn't make sense at all. They're trying to force it. And the numbers are high. I mean, what the hell? The numbers are high over there. So
yes.
I don't get it.
I don't get it either. So let me ask y'all this as we're winding down, though. So then the other story with the Olympics was Sha'Carri Richardson, number one, being suspended for 30 days because she violated substance abuse policy with marijuana. Now, what I'll say is this:
it's in her own state that it's legal.
Well,
she did it in Oregon, so she's cool.
Well, it ain't about where you did it, and if it's legal there, it's not legal for the Olympic organization. So so all these folks out here talking about boycott this and you know, it's because she black and all that other stuff.
Oh,
You
God.
know,
Okay.
you know, the NFL for the longest used to sit there stupidly suspend these NFL players every time they would have a piss test. They get caught having marijuana in their system, and they would suspend them for 4 games. And for years, everybody thought that was the stupidest thing in the world. Why you know, Ricky Williams, dang, Rick, you can't stop smoking weed. And actually, he couldn't. So he proved he couldn't. Weed was more important, and he left. But we always thought, hey, that's kind of crazy. You smoke weed and you get suspended for 4 games. But that was the rules. And they knew that forever, that if you get caught with weed in your system, you're going to get suspended. And some of them would do it anyway because they just didn't want to follow the rules. And then they would pay the consequences. And I ain't never, ever hear people talking about, I ain't going to support my Cowboys no more because Michael Irvin, I'm sorry, that's a crack issue. But because people were smoking marijuana. I'm sorry. It's Cowboys Day.
It's Cowboys Day.
You're right.
You know, but nobody got into a bind about that. Now, Shikari said, hey, I found out from a reporter that my biological mom had passed, and I dealt with the anxiety and the stress in that way. Okay, number one, you've been smoking before? So, but number two, can we be mad at the committee for upholding their rules? Now, can 2 things be true at the same time? Should she be held accountable? And should the Olympic Committee look at updating their rules?
Yes.
Both things can be true without just saying, I boycott them there because she's black and if she was white. Blah, blah, blah.
Well, a lot of people brought up Michael Phelps. You know, they called Michael Phelps with the bong and stuff, but it's so long ago, man. And I don't care. But I believe that he wasn't swimming at the time.
Nope.
When they called him, in fact, I think he was retired, right? When they called him, he was still actively swimming.
No, I don't think he was.
No, he hadn't retired yet.
I don't recall.
He hadn't retired yet.
No,
Did they let?
I don't believe so.
Let him because,
but they didn't find it in his system. They just found him with a bong, right?
No, he was on video smoking. Like he smoked weed.
I thought they found it in his system and they suspended him. They suspended him, but it was
I'll have to double check that.
something like that.
No,
Yeah,
I
I
think so.
never take notes. And like I said, I guess the thing was I just kind of felt like it was a false equivalent. You know, Black Twitter was bringing it up, but keep the same energy for Michael Phelps. You know, he was smoking weed, and I was like, I think they did. So
Yeah.
I'm with you, brother. I believe that 2 things can be true at the same time. That so it's like me in my military service. If it was legal, so I was out in California, Nevada, that area and stuff, and so it's legal to go smoke weed and stuff. But my military affiliation says that I can't smoke weed, so I can't be like where I live here, or all the troops that live in like Colorado and stuff can't be like it's legal in the state and stuff. We'll smoke weed. No, you know what the rules are for your. And the thing is that there's no mandate in the world that says that Miss Richardson has to run. Has she ever tried to be a CNA? And I only say that because she's got the hair and nails for it. But just be surprised. She'd be the fastest CNA on the floor. But you know what I mean? Like it's an honor. You work really hard for it, and so if you want to work really hard for something and then you want to throw it away. And I get the whole thing where like my mama died and stuff. Well, my daddy died. I never smoked weed. And I get it's totally different for everybody in terms of their mental state and stuff. Blah blah blah, tiny violin and stuff. Are the rules outdated? Yeah, sure, the rules outdated. They're outdated, like my brother said in the NFL and stuff. But that doesn't mean they don't still apply.
Right.
And again, to my earlier point, if you want to talk about the system, let's talk about the system. The individual that got caught up in the system right now, that's kind of fodder right now. Let's talk about the system that allows that stuff to persist.
Right. And again, there's some possible CRTs in some of this stuff. But and then the last one that I'll end with is if you think about it, I don't know if you guys heard about the whole Afro cap outrage.
Yeah.
where swimmers are upset because the Olympic Committee has banned the use of Afro caps. Now, for a lot of my lighter skinned people, our hair texture is a little bit different. And when it gets wet and bleach is chlorine is introduced into it, it dries it out, frizzles it up, and things like that. And unfortunately, the caps that like y'all are used to putting on your heads will slide off if somebody of color has longer hair, like dreadlocks or things like that, or really big afro, and they're trying to pat it up underneath that. So this company, AfroCap, came out with a nice design cap that would be able to cover the swimmer's head and protect them from having to worry about damaged hair after that.
There
And
are products. There are a company that actually has that for
yeah, it's called
those
AfroCap.
individuals.
Mhm.
Yes.
And they decided that unfortunately that does not go with the regular shape of a person's head, and again that may cause a competitive disadvantage, and we cannot have that. So poof away. So there's a little bit of outrage right now against that. People are combining that, the Sha'Carri incident, the two African runners, and they're basically saying, look, let us do what we do. Stop putting all these barriers in front of us. And I think that we're stitching stuff together that don't necessarily go together and saying, Olympics, y'all need to get things together because you are discouraging people of color for wanting to participate.
I don't know. I don't know if it's what the time frame is, but like, let's say that I came up with a new tire or a new fender or a new engine for NASCAR team. You can't immediately go out Sunday when they're racing and put that on. There's a
Right.
vetting process for it, and so I'm not so sure. And when they say it could, and people go, "Well, you don't know." Like, no, we just found out. How could we know? But since we don't know, we're going to err on the side of caution to all the competitors not to give away the advantage.
Right.
And I can see that. I mean, you can say whatever you want about my opinion, and like last show, I'm allowed to change my opinion on the fly. But without more information, it sounds like from a little bit, and I'm not afraid to talk about stuff I don't know about. It sounds like from a little bit of information I have that they tried to introduce a camp. They said no, and it's not I don't think it's a dead reckoning. No, where it's like nope, and we're never going that direction again. I think it's a
Just no, not right now.
no, not right now. Let's we'll have to do some trials and stuff.
Yep.
And they might be able to reintroduce it because absolutely, if you look at, again, I go back to my basic stuff, hair regulations for females in the military just changed a couple months ago. I always had their hair up and stuff, but after some research and some committees and stuff, they changed and they relaxed the hair regulations for females, which was way overdue, probably like 30 years overdue, right? And so sometimes, and it was, it takes time, right? It takes time for some of this change to happen. But maybe if they had their own Black Olympics, this would. I'm messing. Or maybe I'm not.
Well, yes, I don't know if that was a thing of them not introducing it soon enough, or it's always been around, and now all of a sudden they're saying it's illegal.
Yeah, I don't know.
That it has to go through the vetting process. But was the argument that it gave people an unfair advantage? Was that the argument, that it was giving them an advantage?
Well, what they were saying was that it didn't fit the natural pattern of a head.
To who? To who is the question?
Of somebody that don't have heads like people of color. I don't know. I don't know if it was so much of the advantage.
But look at all of us right now. Your head is different from mine. Mine is different from Brad. Brad's different from mine. Really? Come on. In what world does that make sense?
None.
Well,
that's why I say sometimes maybe it's the reason that's more of the bull crap than I mean the reason that you choose to say versus the actual reason.
I guess
it didn't make
my thing is, and I think the reason you bring this up, talking about stitching stuff together, is that there are some people out there who the dog whistle blows and they jump, right? And I'll be the first person to point out, oh no, I can tell you the history of why that's racist. I'll be the first one to do that. But sometimes, just sometimes, I look at stuff and go, I don't know. I need more information, and I think our media purposely throws out bits and pieces of information to get people hyped up about that kind of stuff. And they go, look what's happened over here. And without citing, well, yeah, they tried some new swim trunks or a new swimsuit. And you've seen this stuff over the years. You just didn't care about it because it wasn't related to African Americans and stuff, where they've thrown out, well, you can't use this cap. You can't use these shoes. You can't use these golf balls. You can't use, and every sport has their things where, no, you can't use that. And I think initially, just from what the little bit I heard, I tend to believe it's more along those lines than it is, and they're saying, oh, they're just trying not to, they don't want black women to compete. I think they do. And because, if follow me on this, you want the best athletes to compete in your events because that, so Miss Richardson, quite frankly, might be the fastest woman in the world. So whoever wins gold has an asterisk by that, right? Not just them, but how legitimate is your handing out you're fastest woman in the world when we know that's not true? That was the whole thing of what inspired Negro Leagues to be allowed into mainstream sports and stuff, because they couldn't really legitimately keep saying they were the world champions of baseball. You know what I mean? There were other leagues out there that had athletes that were as good or better than the athletes that they had. In order to say that we have the best NFL players in the world, we have to open it up to the world. And we have to choose from the best to say that, no, when we say these guys, he's the best running back, he is literally the best running back, or he's the best, whatever and stuff. And so I think that organizations, and it's money too, like Lori pointed out earlier, stuff, everything leads back to money and stuff. You got to have your viewership. You got to have people bought in, and people only want to see the best. If you're not bringing the best athletes and stuff, like if I brought you the midget football league and stuff and said they were the best athletes in the world, you laugh at me and stuff. You were like, you can't find no better athletes? I said, well, not for that price. They were half off.
Well, he said all of that up just for that.
Just to tell you.
That is so shameful.
That was better.
And that's why he is the franchise. Dumb bump.
All right, listen.
That was a good makeup. That was a very good.
I'm ashamed of myself. I'm sorry.
Lord. All right, listen, y'all. I'm a wrap. Next week we are going to talk about critical race theory. So if you're listening, please buckle in. If you're listening and you would like to be able to come onto the show or leave comments, we would definitely welcome that. If you have a service, something that you provide and you would like our audience to know about, and you would like to have a 30-second commercial, please send that to me. Reach out to me at theparkermedia@gmail.com. We certainly want to get that on. Before we wrap, too, I also want to congratulate the New York Knicks on winning the NBA final. No?
What?
Oh, I'm sorry. The Knicks, they didn't win the NBA. I'm sorry. I got the wrong message from Steve Harvey. I'm sorry.
Hey, Brian.
Steve Harvey gave me the wrong envelope. I'm sorry about that. But I do want to, before I go out, I do want to sit there and share something that my brother Jermaine Parker got to do over the weekend on Sunday with the, let me make sure I got it right, the Gastonia Honey Hunters. Is that right, Jermaine?
Hey, yeah, real quick, can I tell you that? Because so their symbol is the honey badger, but the reason they're called the honey hunters is that, you may not know this, but their owner is like the first minority owner of a AAA team. And Magic Johnson came out and threw out their first pitch and stuff. But so they took the honey from the honey badger, but the hunter comes from a former slave named Hunter, who was the first freed slave in the area who actually owned a business. So the first black man to own a AAA team wove that into their name, so that's why they're honey hunters, named after Mr. Hunter, an ex-slave.
Cool.
just something I found out. I didn't know until we were flying.
That's him flying over. Okay.
Yeah, not gonna lie, I was in the back of the bus, but yeah, I enjoyed it anyway.
So stupid.
That is a big old plane. And I just wanted to thank him always for his service and everything. And
Honor to serve. Honor to serve.
So wait. Inquiring minds want to know what happened. He flew the plane over the opening, over the game.
Yeah, it was a flight. It was a flight. 425 flyover that y'all did.
445.
Yeah, it was and a lot of aircraft were out on the 4th of July. And so we got a request, and it's a whole big process to request a military aircraft act, obviously, to do that kind of stuff. But so just like any other ball game and stuff, and been able to do that before for Panthers games and stuff like that, and at the race and stuff, being out, on the aircraft and flying over right with anthems, closing out and stuff, and trying to inspire that patriotic feeling, and let you know that your taxpayer dollars. We did some training on the way, so we did just like fly right there and stuff. We were actually airborne for about an hour or so prior till we got to that point and stuff, and we got some training, and then ended up flying over to the baseball game for the anthem and stuff. So yeah, always an honor to serve and stuff. If you think that I'm ever pulling my punches on answers and stuff, it's because I want to keep my military affiliation. I'm not trying to say something so wild I'll get fired and stuff. So no,
right.
Don't spread that lie.
Well, look, we appreciate you, Jermaine. I appreciate all of the panel for coming in. Thank you guys for joining us on our very first live show. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm loving the little tools that I have to be able to do the show. So with that said, we are going to sign out. I'm going to thank CJ Jones, Lori Parker, Michael Berry, Brad Cawthon, Jermaine the Franchise Parker. We will see you guys again next week. We're going to talk about CRT. So definitely tune in, share with a friend, and we will see you soon.
This a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it.
And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it.